Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are watching us from. I'm Comfort Eyitayo, your regular host for Connect with Comfort show. As usual, as we say on this show, we aim to add value to people on business enterprise and personal growth. Each show aimed is organized to feature guests who are subject matter experts that would help us to throw more insights onto the topic of the day. It is nice having you here. Thank you very much for joining. You are most welcome. Today's discussion is on a topic that sits at the very heart of every successful enterprise. That is business by the numbers. The numbers we are talking about here is more than just figures on a balance sheet. They are pulse of an organization. As you take your pulse when you go for medicals, it tells stories. That is the numbers. It tells stories of growth, resilience, and innovation. They also serve as the compass guiding strategic decisions, revealing opportunities, and sometimes highlighting risks that demand our attention in order to avoid them. Whether you are a seasoned entrepreneur, a budding startup founder, or a professional managing an enterprise, understanding your numbers is very, very crucial. In today's competitive landscape, the ability to interpret financial data, measure performance metrics, and project future trends is just not what you call a skill, but a necessity. Therefore, in our session today, we aim to look into how businesses, both large and small, can find out how they can harness the power of numbers to make informed decisions, optimize resources, and achieve sustainable growth. Let us embark on this quest to demystify the numbers and empower our businesses to thrive in today's challenging economic climate. Let us get perspective on some common concerns, such as how do we move beyond the fear of complex figures, for those that are not accountants, of course. How do we turn raw data into actionable insights? And how do we ensure that the numbers truly reflect the heartbeat of our businesses? Remember, I said it's like the pulse of the business. All this we aim to achieve after this short time out. Please remain connected. We'll be right back. Thank you. You are most welcome once again. welcome. Thanks for remaining connected. Our special guest for today's topic is already in the house. In fact, it gives me great pleasure to welcome our distinguished guest for the day, who incidentally is a colleague of mine. He is popularly known as Brilliant Bayo Banjo, FCA. Bayo is a seasoned financial advisor, consultant, and tax expert. Bayo is the group financial controller of Cedros Group Africa, bringing over 16 years of extensive experience in the financial services industry. He possesses a deep understanding of the financial operations of the stock broking firms, agro-allied businesses, road joint operations, as well as investment banking and trusteeship services. Bayo is an accomplished investment and fund manager. As a trusted advisor and portfolio manager, he expertly guides clients in building wealth and optimizing their investments. A seasoned tax consultant to leading brands, Bayo is also strategic insights have powered businesses toward compliance and profitability. Beyond consulting, he is a passionate facilitator, empowering professionals through his engaging lectures for candidates preparing for certifications such as ICANN. With his deep expertise and practical approach, Bayo is a sought-after resource in finance, taxation, and professional development. Please join me in making welcome this distinguished, resourceful guest of ours today, in the person of Brilliant Bayo Banjo, FCA.
Yeah.
Bayo, you are most welcome.
Thank you.
We are glad that you are joining us on Connect with Comfort show.
Yes,
we do not take it for granted, allowing us to share part of your Sunday evening, and also having been available, making yourself available for us to share in your wealth of experience.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the opportunity. I'm honored and I'm grateful. It's my pleasure to be here, ma'am.
Thank you. So without much ado, we'll go straight to the interview segment by me throwing the first salvo, asking you, what do the numbers mean in the context of a successful business?
Okay. Thank you very much once again, Ma, for the opportunity to come to the program, and then the esteemed audience that are here to listen to us today. It's a privilege to be here, and I know it's all-encompassing interactive section, so which I think I need to provide them. For the first question, said what do number means? You know, we've been talking about numbers. So by numbers, in a business context, you know, we refer to it as quantifiable financial and operational metrics that measure the health, performances, and growth potential of a company. So that's the basic meaning of the numbers. So, and these include revenue, profit margin, expenses, cash flow, ROI, that's return on investment, and other key financial indicators. So basically, for a successful business, the numbers are not just data, but a reflection of strategic decisions, market performance, operational and operational efficiency. So, so these they provide an insight into whether the business is meeting its goals and maintaining its sustainability. That is basic definition of the term numbers when it comes to a successful business. I hope this provide
Thank,
answer to the question asked.
yes, yes, it does. Thank you very
Yes, ma'am.
much. So, how can financial metrics, like you have said in your
Yes, ma'am.
definition, guide strategic decision making in business?
Okay. Thank you for the wonderful question, ma'am. From the word we said earlier, the first question, I said financial metrics. It can provide objective, data-driven insight that inform strategic decision making. For instance, we have I prioritize it into three ways. The first one I would say is profitability metrics. This one measure net profit margin. It guide decision on cost management and pricing strategies. The second one I would say is liquidity metrics. This is talking about the current ratio. It helps us to assess the ability to meet short-term obligations, and it's influencing operational budgeting. Then on the third one, I would say revenue growth trend. This one helps us to identify market opportunities and areas needing improvement. So basically, by monitoring these metrics, business can prioritize their investment. They can allocate resources effectively, and evaluate financial impact of strategic initiatives, to ensure alignment with long-term objectives of the business. Thank you very much, ma'am, for the question.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
What
Thank you.
role do numerical analysis play in identifying growth opportunities?
Okay. Thank you for the question once again, ma'am. So I would say numerical analysis. When we're talking about it, we're trying to, uncover patterns and trends in financial and operational data that highlight growth and opportunities. So, for example, what are we saying here? We're talking about revenue analysis. This one actually help us to identify high flying performing products or services and emerging market demand. The next one is cost analysis. This cost analysis we'll talk about it to reveal inefficiencies that, if corrected, can actually free up resources for expansion. How do I mean? When revenue is growing, cost must not measure up with revenue the way it's growing. So it means that in our cost analysis, if it's actually monitored, it will actually reveal inefficiency. So when it's now controlled, it will free up resources for business expansion. The third one I would say is customer data analysis. This helps that target profitable customer segment and improve retention strategies, because by the time we have a good segment of customers, we can have a retention strategy. So this insight can allow businesses to optimize their operations, by enter a new market and invest in scalable opportunities, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
Yes,
for
ma'am.
that precise definition.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
how would a business be able to leverage its financial statement, that is, balance sheet, income statement, cash flow, to improve performance?
Okay. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Basically, if you look at the financial statement, it provide a comprehensive view of company's financial health. The balance sheet, what does it do? It review assets, liabilities, and equity, helping to assess solvency and investment capacity. If you look at the income statement, it highlights revenue, expenses, profitability. It help to guide cost control and pricing strategies. Then the third one there is, I would say, is let's look at the cash flow statement. It tracks cash inflows and outflows, which is essential for ensuring that liquidity and operational continuity. So by regularly analyzing this statement, businesses can identify their strengths, their weaknesses, opportunities for improvement, and ensuring sustainable growth. Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Flowing from that, which one would you consider most critical key performance indicators that
Okay.
businesses should track and why?
Okay, ma'am. So basically, for key performance indicators, the KPI, we'll look at because we are talking about metrics now. So when in dealing with metrics, we have to look at our net profit margin. So, what does profit margin do? It measure overall profitability and operational efficiency. Our cash flow, so it also indicates liquidity and ability to sustain operations. So the next one is customer acquisition cost. So we have to this will evaluate marketing efficiency. So meaning that this is a cost we have to set aside to actually target and these customers that actually put us in business. Then the another thing we have to look at is return on investment, which actually assess the profitability of our investment. Then next one we shouldn't forget is employee productivity. This help us to track workforce efficiency and its contribution to revenue. So these KPIs, it help businesses align their performance with objective. It monitor financial health and optimize decision making. Thank you very much. That's the 5 KPIs I just mentioned.
Yeah, I understand perfectly. Even the last
Yes.
one that sometimes people overlook, that is the employees' efficiency.
Yes. So
They are more or less one of the key stakeholders in business
yes, ma'am.
performance
Yes,
tracking.
ma'am.
Yeah, that's very
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
what financial ratios or numbers can help predict business risk?
Okay. For the financial ratios, we can look at what's it called? We can look at current ratio. The current ratio, low ratio signal liquidity challenges. Another thing we can look at is gross profit margin. Declining margin is an indicator that
For
there
the
is
sake of our audience, sorry,
okay.
for the sake of our Bayo, for
Ma'am,
the sake of our audience, can you tell them, let them know what the ratio you are talking about? What when you say current ratio?
okay, 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 okay,
It's not everybody that would know what that
okay,
means. Just
okay.
briefly.
Okay, for the current ratio, we're trying to measure our assets to liabilities. So in this measurement of our asset to liabilities, so we are trying to look at how we're able to pay off what's it called, our debt. So how efficient are we trying to actually generate or convert our assets to liquidity? So if our asset cannot cover for our liability, is a signal for a liquidity challenge. So which is part of it. So then for the next one, we talk about the gross profit margin. Gross profit margin. So we are looking at our overall profits in relation to sales. So if there's a declining margin, so what are we? It indicates that there are inefficiency or there's a market pressure. So that's those things we need to look at. So we can also look at interest cover. By interest cover, we can say that you know the ability to meet interest payment. Most companies now, because they've taken out so much loans, they have so much issue repaying. This interest cover will now show that okay, is our ability to meet interest payments, by actually not flagging potential debt related risk. So monitoring this ratio will help businesses to identify and mitigate financial vulnerabilities early. Thank you very much.
While we were on that question, we had a question from one of our online audience, and that's the
Yes.
person of Adefemi Ononuga. And he goes thus: what is the effect of high customer retention costs on long-term profitability? The effect of
Um,
high customer retention costs.
yes. You know, for high customer retention costs, basically, we have to look at our own profitability side. You know, if you have a high volume customers that's actually bringing funds to us, and we can also look at in various forms of portfolios open to us for us to remain in business. So as long as we have other streams of portfolio which we can invest our what's it called, our portfolio into, and still give us a resounding net investment income (NII). It won't. So it means that we should look at all the metrics around it in such a way that as customers are demanding for what's it called, to retain these customers, we don't also plunge us to a liquidity issue. So we can always is a team management, is a broader angle in which companies need to look at so that they can actually remain in business. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree with you because yes, sometimes what the question speaks to is that sometimes in order to retain certain customers that
Yes, ma'am.
perhaps they are major customers, you
Yeah,
may
major
have
customer.
to give a discount, you may have to do this, do that,
Yes,
and
yes.
thereby increasing the cost.
Our cost of
Definitely
fund.
that will have effect on your bottom line. So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think your response is saying that if we have alternative, I mean comparative advantage, we look at
Yes, ma'am.
what best alternative use for our resources and which
Yes, ma'am.
one gives us a better yield. So we may
Yes, ma'am.
have to do that occasionally
Yes,
to
ma'am.
know if it's advisable to continue with customers that have a high cost in terms of their
Yes,
retention. So that's
yes,
a very strategic decision. And thank you
yes,
very much, Adifemi, for that question. That's
yes, ma'am.
what businesses really need to be very careful about. We need to definitely keep our customers so that we can have referral and all that. But we also have to watch out for the cost
Our cost of
because at
fund.
the end of the day, we are talking of the bottom line at the end of
Yes,
the
ma'am.
day. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you, ma'am.
so we quickly move along. How can businesses use data analysis to mitigate financial challenges before they escalate? Perhaps this also rests with what we have just said, because with data, we'll be able to know which customer is costing us much and other things that the data can give us information on. So,
Yes.
how can businesses use
Okay.
data
Oh,
analysis
okay,
to
ma'am.
mitigate financial challenges
All right,
before
ma'am.
they
Thank you very,
escalate?
very much, ma'am, for this question. So, you know, um, uh, what's it called? Financial reporting is evolving, and that's why ICANN is doing so much that we can move to a global standard. You know, so our reporting is different the way it used to be. Data analysis actually help us to identify early warning signs of financial challenges. By what does it do? It helps us to monitor cash flow patterns to detect potential liquidity issues. It also helps us to analyze our expense trend to identify and also address cost overrun so that we won't overshoot our costs. You know, Using predictive analytics to forecast potential revenue shortfall is another thing we can do. So this our idea of data analysis is to have a timely insight to enable us to be proactive for interventions and preventing small issue before it escalates into major crisis. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
next one also requires some practicability in the
Yes,
sense that we usually address small business owners as being limited in terms of resources, especially financial resources.
Yes,
Even
ma'am.
human resources, they are a bit limited because it requires money. So this question is looking at how can small, medium uh, enterprises, SMEs, adopt a business by the numbers mindset,
Okay.
even
All
with
right.
their limited resources.
Resources. Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am. So, for SMEs, that's small and medium enterprises, they can adopt
Enterprise.
this
Yes.
mindset. Yes. Yeah. So they can, the mindset they can adopt is they can focus on few essential metrics. Like you don't need to do much. They can just do cash flow or do profit margin. Then they should try as much as possible to automate the accounting and financial tracking with cost-effective tool. They can use QuickBook, which is not really too expensive. They can also outsource their financial expertise, when needed to ensure accurate analysis and advice. Because if you outsource it, is sometimes outsourcing is cheap than having them in the office, so you can actually outsource your all this thing out. So then establishing a culture of data-driven decision making across organization. This approach I just mentioned, it ensures that SMEs optimize their limited resources while staying financially disciplined. You know, with their limited resources, if they can do this, I just mentioned those four I just mentioned, at least they will be okay in the long run.
Yeah, you are quite on point there because, like I started with the intro of the question, that it's a generally known fact that SMEs have limited resources.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
these limited resources, like I said, is not only limited to financials. It
Yes,
can
ma'am.
be human resources, and asset utilization issue comes in and all that. And that's where
Yes,
your advice comes in, that we should, as small business, we should know where it's best to apply the little that we have,
have.
and not having to reinvent the wheel. If there are areas we can borrow ideas from existing business owners, we can collaborate. We
Yes.
can outsource, like you rightly suggested,
Yes.
outsource that will work out cheaper for us. Although it's not in all cases that outsourcing work out cheaper, but in some cases, yes, it may work out cheaper. We must be able to see how best to stretch our little resources to accommodate as much as possible. I'm able to speak to this as an entrepreneur myself, that there are many things that are begging for cash utilization, asset utilization, but you don't have all that resources, and yet you still have to do certain things. So this calls for collaboration, partnering with people, and in some cases you may not hire a resource, human capital resource that you cannot afford to pay for. Just get them on need to have basis, that is like on contract, rather than having them on payroll. So those are the various ways we can stretch the little resources available to us to make sure that we have a maximum yield. So it's
Yes.
very important for us to note that, and that is adopting the mindset of business by the numbers. We are counting our numbers, we are looking at what we have, and things like that. Thank you very much, Bayo.
Thank you very
Now,
much, ma'am.
what
Thank you.
tools or technologies can businesses use to track and analyze their numbers effectively? I know the big companies are doing well on this.
Yes.
So we are speaking more of the small businesses. What
Yes.
tools are available out there that they can
Okay.
use to help them to monitor their financials, and to make sure that they get the best out of their little resources?
Okay. All right, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for the question. So the tools that are available to SMEs, so we have accounting software. They can use QuickBooks, which is actually good for accurate financial tracking. So another one is we can actually look at business intelligence platforms, like the one of Power BI, Tableau that we have. This actually help for in-depth data visualization and analysis. So this can also be used. Then another one we can use is enterprise resource planning system, that's called ERP. This help to integrate financial operational data for comprehensive insight. That can also be used. Then we can use cloud-based solutions. This enable real-time data access and collaboration, like we said in our previous chat. So these tools, they provide business with capabilities to track, analyze, and act on financial data efficiently. So if we use these four tools I mentioned.
Okay, thank you. We
Thank you
have a
much.
contribution yet again from Adefemi Ononuga, and
Okay.
it goes thus: FX volatility affects SMEs that are import based, whereby they often grapple with rapidly changing costs of goods and then stock replacement costs. How can they protect their going concern form?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Adefemi Ononuga, for your question. You know, for FX, the volatility, we have different options that are open for SMEs. You can actually hedge against your risk. That's why that Nigerian Stock Exchange, they open what's it called, commodity good exchange. So these are part of the forums in which an SMEs can actually delve into. Have a stockbroker that can actually put align your needs to what's it called, to edging. Everybody at this point, we can actually edge against this risk. So the volatility, the CBN is actually helping. Even government to actually helping SMEs. The way they tax small and medium enterprise, not the way they tax large companies. So you have so all this we are talking about FX, about what's it called, government policies. It has government is really trying at this as a period, but they can also have various ways in which to actually hedge their risk, except basically their business is dominated in FX currency. So, and
I,
they
I
can
think
actually
uh, I think that's what is actually stressing for those that they have import-based businesses. Obviously, if it's import, it has to
yes,
be FX, and
yes,
not many of them will be able to. Although it's a good advice to edge through commodity uh, exchange, but
exchanges,
the very small one may not be able to do that, and they may not even have the expertise. And if they want to hire consultants, that's another kettle of fish altogether. They don't come in
yes,
cheap. I
yes,
think the maybe the other simple option we can look at, depending on, because when you talk of import, it varies. It
yes,
varies in terms of the extent and the exposure that you are really into. So if we are looking at the very small one, because if you say SMEs, you are talking of the small medium enterprise. If you
yes,
are looking at the small one, you probably have to uh, make sure that you get uh, payments, you get orders and make payments ahead of time,
of time, yes, okay,
because if you get your order and you are given a certain price and you have not maybe deposit or make payment, you
yes,
cannot guarantee that price by the time the goods are landing or by the time you are actually doing the purchasing. So
yes,
number one, you may have to give, maybe you are making a projection of your quotation, for instance. You might be able to tell your customer that this quotation can vary within the next 2 days.
yes,
That caveat has to be there, because if not, by the time they are even going to give you the order, the exchange rate may have moved. Then
Yes.
secondly, if you can persuade your customers to pay ahead, that's the only way you can guarantee price. If they pay ahead and you also go ahead and pay, make payment, then you can guarantee that aspect. Once payment is made, it's just about delivery. So those are the things
Yeah.
that I can recommend for the very small one. Of course, for the medium to large one, your advice comes handy for them, because they are able to deal in commodity exchange and other windows that are open from
Open.
CBN and all that. So
Yes.
I think that's the best way to manage that. Then there's a question from another. Well, it's not really a question, a kind of seeking your advice that we want good, cheap, or free ones. And I'm sure she's referring to the last question, but one, when we are talking about the type of tools that can be used to analyze and track KPIs and all that. So, do you
Yes.
know those that are cheap that but are good, or
Yeah.
possibly free? In Nigerians, we like
Um,
free things. So,
no, Nigerians, basically, QuickBooks is quite cheap to use. Power BI is not it's something you can just download on your system. Tableau, but just that you need expertise to put you through on how to use them. So the applications are quite
can they
easy
get
to download.
tutorial? Can they get tutorial for them on YouTube?
Yes,
They can
yes.
also get tutorial for
The
this
tutorials, yes, on
hands
how it's going to be
instead of,
done. But the
because where you are
application is,
trying to
yes,
conserve funds.
yes,
Exactly.
yes,
And let me just add to that, you may just be able to get away with trial version, which may
yeah,
not give you the full complement of that particular software. But it's a starting point.
yes,
Um, the person that asked this question is my sister from Abuja, Taiwo Ojo. It's a starting point. Yes, you can access some free tools
yes,
on the net, but also look at the conditions. You don't want to also download free tools that will
yeah,
bring virus into your
mm-hmm.
system. So you have to be very careful to balance free, like they say in Sierra Leone. There's nothing free,
Not,
even in
not it's
Freetown.
free everything.
So you don't get a wolf that will break bone. So make sure you watch out what you are getting. You're downloading the free version to make sure that you don't have issues with them. But if you download any of these free version and you do not have the expertise that we are talking about to apply them fully, you can also look for tutorials on YouTube on them. So that's where you can more or less get them free of charge until
Yeah,
you get conversant with it, and if you find it's working for you, you can then go for maybe like a cheaper license or something like that.
all
Thank
right,
you
all right.
very much for your contribution, Taiwo
Thank
Ojo from Abuja. Okay, so we move on. Actually, we should have gone on. Let me just take this before we go on break. How
you.
can
Okay,
businesses ensure that their numbers are accurate and transparent?
okay, all right. Thank you for the question, ma'am. So to ensure accuracy of records and transparency, business, there are some things, there are some parameters that need to be put in place. First of all, they need to implement a robust internal controls and processes in place. This can actually make your record, it will make your record to be accurate and then to be transparent. Then another thing businesses need to do is they need to conduct regular audits. Our Nigerians don't do audits for SMEs, they don't do. So they need to conduct regular audits, either internal or external audits. It must be done. It actually put your records in a good note. And they should use reliable automated accounting system Because sometimes when we rely on too much on human, there's a risk of human error. So sometimes we need to use a reliable automated accounting system to minimize human error. Then we need to adhere to standardized accounting practice and the regulatory requirements. Transparent and accurate numbers build stakeholders' confidence, and they facilitate better decision making. So I think by the point I've made, I think I should be able to have addressed
Thank
that
you
point.
very much. In
Yes.
addition to what our guest has said, I mean, every business, even though you start small, the desire is to grow. And if you want to grow along the line, you may need injection of capital. So if you
Yes.
do not cultivate the habit at the early stage, that you
Yes.
will grow with by building up account, transparent and accurate accounts, you will not have enough evidence to support your request for injection of capital either through the bank or maybe angel investors or other type of investors that you may need to woo to inject more capital into your business so that you can grow, because the idea is that your business must grow. You cannot remain static. So
Yes.
it's better to start early, to start having accurate and very transparent account. Like our guest said, it will build not only investors' confidence, even those who want to partner with you in terms of business deals. It will build their confidence that truly I can rely on the figures, because some figures are not reliable. They are either over bloated or
Yes.
window dress to
Yes.
give the information they want to pass, which is not the real stuff. So this thing is very important. We have another contribution from Adefemi. Nigerians are generally entrepreneur, but they usually don't pay taxes from their businesses earnings because they use their personal accounts. How can they access tax advisory to be tax compliant? The question is to the right person. He's a tax expert. Did you
Uh,
get that?
I got it. They said Nigerians are generally entrepreneurial, but they usually don't pay taxes. You know, um,
Mm.
how can
How
they
can
access?
they access tax advisory to get
Okay.
advice from tax experts to be
Yeah.
tax compliant?
Yes. So measures are in place starting from 2025. Government are putting measures in place. You can only run, you cannot hide. When it comes to government, all people that have been hiding, there's a threshold you get to in which you'll be brought to the task net. And there's no how. The best thing we can just do is over time. It can only be delayed. All these people are going to be brought to the task net. So the best we can just do, when we're talking about the transparent measure, that like Doctor has rightly said, for us to be transparent, for us to be accurate, when you have your numbers right in terms of financial reporting, you need an expert to help you put your records in place so that you'll be tax compliant. It's cheap, they are there, you have them, just after the program, you can actually reach out to us, so we can have a good, you're in the right place. So after the program, we can actually talk on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. In addition to that, Adefemi, like our guest rightly said, there is no more hiding place. We've done that a lot in the past, but because of the well articulated tax, um, well, it's bill at the moment, but very soon it's going to be law. So we are in the process of it. So once that comes in place, and like you said, it will be as early as January 2025, everybody must get their acts together.
Yes.
And addressing your question, particularly how do you get tax advisory, there's no other way to get tax advisory if you are not a professional yourself that you can draw up from your knowledge, you will need to seek advice from the expert, and it will save you money. You may think, oh, am I going to have to go and pay consultant to get this advice? It might be better for you to pay a negotiated fee with a consultant than
Yeah.
to get the sledgehammer of the tax authority that is not even going to look good, because these are things that people are not, the fact people are not facing right now. In other clime, both small businesses and big businesses, they have their accountants either in-house or outside. They have somebody, a professional that is helping them to look at their books, that is giving them advice, including tax advice. We
Yes.
must get into that practice now. The time is now. We set up our books accurately as much as possible and transparently, so that it can be verified. That's the transparency aspect. It can be, the figures can be verified with necessary backup document. That way, the professionals will give you advice. I'm sure if they start with you at a small level, you both grow together. They are not going to be charging you high as they will charge other big concern. So don't fret. Professionals are there. That's what they are there for. Our guest today is an expert in tax advisory. Yours truly, I'm also in that domain. And any other professional that is a chartered accountant can equally give advice on tax, especially those who major in tax practice. So please don't shy away from that, and it will help you, so that even when you are putting your figures together, you already know how to put it together. Tax management will be advised to you, so that you will be able to do them properly. That's my advice for everybody, not just Adefemi. So
Yes.
we need to get our books in proper order. Okay. Okay. That was just a buttressing that there's nothing free, even in Freetown. Okay, that is true. So let me just quickly take this. What trend in financial analysis do you consider to be reshaping how businesses evaluate their performance? The current trend on how business
Okay.
evaluates.
Okay. For the okay, ma'am. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So the current trend in financial analysis, we look at what's it called? Real time reporting. This facilitates instant decision making. So we have another trend that another one is we call it a predictive analytics. So this one, it anticipates future performance and risk that is attached to it. So we have the integration of ESG metrics. This help to align financial performance with sustainability goals. So we have AI and machine learning. So this one, so, excuse me, it enhances the accuracy and depth of financial insight. This trend, it empowers businesses to adopt a more holistic and forward-thinking approach to financial evaluation. So it's not what's it called, limited to the four I mentioned, but by the virtue of our time, these the four that can come to mind for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. These days everybody talk of AI, artificial intelligence, that is
Yes, yes,
to
ma'am.
improve their numbers. So how can businesses leverage data analytics and artificial intelligence to improve their numbers?
Okay, thank you for that question because we've been mentioning metrics. So, now for businesses to leverage data analytics, so, they need to start, it helps to, what data analytics and AI, it enhance financial performance. In what ways? One, automating routine tasks by like bookkeeping and reporting. AI help us to perform it very, very fast and efficiently. It can help us to predict future trends through advanced forecasting, models. So this is what this AI and data analysis can do for us. It can also help us to optimize resource allocation with real-time insight, because the resource we're going to need can help us to actually maximize. So what I meant by optimizing resource allocation. So it can also help us to dictate anomalies and potential fraud. This by ensuring financial integrity, it can do this for us. These technologies, once we have it in place, it will enable business to make a smarter, faster, and more informed decision. Thank you very much, ma'am, for the
Thank you
question.
very much. I wish we can go on and on. You've done wonderfully well for
Thank you
us
very much.
this evening, Bayo.
Thank you, ma'am.
Time will not permit us to go on end. Usually, it's very sweet where you are getting good responses to
Thank you.
questions that people are learning from. So, once again, I want to appreciate you, my
Thank you, ma'am.
distinguished colleague, to come on this show today and share with us from your wealth of experience all the very great insights that you have been able to uh, share on this very interesting topic. We
Thank you
appreciate
very
you
much.
highly. I hope when next we come calling, you oblige
Yes, ma'am.
us and not consider us at Oliver Twist.
No, the pleasure is mine, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
the honor, ma'am.
Thank you
Pleasure.
very much.
Yes,
God bless you.
yes, ma'am.
We will not be able to go to on the next break. We'll just weave it through because the time is fast spent, but it's a time that is well spent. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate our online audience, Taiwo Ojo, Adefemi, Ononuga that contributed, and others that joined. I'm not able to pick their name. I appreciate you all. Thank you for uh, staying with us. Let me quickly wrap up this session by saying, as we come to the end of this show today on business by numbers, I hope you leave here with a renewed appreciation for the power of numbers in driving business successes. Whether we are analyzing financial statements, tracking key performance indicators, or forecasting future growth, numbers provide us with a roadmap to make informed decisions, manage risk, and seize opportunities. If we look at today's dynamic business environment, the importance of data-driven strategies cannot be overemphasized. However, let us not forget that behind every number, there is a story of people, processes, and possibilities. As we strive to grow our businesses and foster innovation, let us balance the science of numbers with the art of leadership and the humanity of relationship. I encourage all of you to take the insights shared today by our guests and apply them in your respective fields. Let us use the tools of analysis, accountability, and strategic thinking to unlock the potential within our various businesses and organizations. Remember, numbers don't just measure progress, they guide it. Once again, I'd like to appreciate all of you and appreciate especially our guest who has done wonderfully well today, brilliant Bayo Banjo. Thank you very much. I hope you have all enjoyed today's episode. If so, please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Comfort Eyitayo. Once you have subscribed, please turn on the notification button, like and share our videos. Stay updated with information about upcoming events, solutions, and offers on my Instagram account at Comfort Eyitayo, as well as my Facebook account at Comfort Eyitayo. So, till I come your way again, let's build ventures that not only thrive by the numbers but also stand the test of time. Thank you very much for your participation today. May God bless you all.